Welcome back, everybody. Here we are, Homer, Alaska, picking up where we left off in the previous video. This is part 2 on getting to work, which work is based out of Anchorage, flying a 777 freighter, and just looked at the roster, and we've got a flight, so it's a good thing that we're going to Anchorage. And as the aircraft, we're going to be utilizing the King Air C90 GTX. And I do realize that there's a lot of oh, I don't know. I guess one word would be frustration with the avionics, because certain things don't work as they should. As you can see, I already took the shocks off, as well as the engine covers. Pre-fly the airplane, everything looks good. Just testing out the Tobii head eye tracker, the new one, Tobii eye tracker 5. Probably disable it in the cockpit, but we'll see how things go. But just the bare basics. This is kind of also a review on the aircraft as well. But anyway, let's just get to it. It should be a relatively short fly up to Anchorage, no more than 23 minutes at the most. So let's get underway, and I'll turn off the eye tracker. Yeah, I'm sorry, Tobii eye tracker head tracker, which is how I currently have it set up, and I'll put this setup, the settings, that is, in the description below. As how I have it programmed. They got a long way to go, but like I said, if it doesn't work well, then we'll simply disable it. Alright, well, see, we look out this way. That's pretty good with regard to head positions. Yaw. Pretty good range of motion. But anyway, let's get this thing underway. So to start off with, getting used to the eye track. Well, I have the eye tracking turned off, head track only. Alright. Anyway, we'll do backup. Yep. I'm trying very hard not to move my head one little bit. Turn on the main battery as well. And I do have it set up so that we have external power, but it's not powering up the mains. Alright. That's because, let's see if we have any battery draw once I turn on the main avionics. Let's see where we are. Let's see here. Generator left and right should be a 0. And battery, we've got 0 amp output.
Pause system test. Okay.
Alright, thank you.
Pause system test. Okay.
Okay, thank you for that. Twice. Anyway, yeah, we've got 25 volt. Alright, we have enough to bring the aircraft up to life. Alright, let's turn on our nav lights, and our tail light there. That's good for that. And now comes the part where I'm going to have to disable the head tracker because it won't allow me to look down that much. So let's just turn it off. Alright. I will say the people at Tobii, they've been very good with regard to support. But it has a ways to go, and I am utilizing OpenTrack, so I'm running the head tracker through OpenTrack. So you fool, well, what you're in essence doing is you're fooling the sim into thinking that you're using track IR, when in reality you're using totally eye tracker 5. But at any rate, let's get this thing up and going here. Let's tell the airplane where it is in the world. There we go. Flight plans. We are in, like I said, here we are in beautiful Homer, Alaska. If you've never been there in real life, I highly recommend it. Alright. Papa Alpha Hotel Oscar is the origin, and we're going to Anchorage so we can get on my 777 so we can go to work. Part 1, in case you missed it, was a flight from Nanwalek, Alaska, which is down over on the other side of Ketchikan Bay. It's even farther away than Seldovia, Alaska is. And we flew up here in the Norden tail dragger so we can get out of Nanwalek. Because it's a very, very short runway, and you don't want to take off a lot of fuel because of the length of the runway. Alright, we're going to go to, let's go ahead and just select our departure and arrival right here, right now. We'll execute what we have so far. Departure, the wind today here in Homer is, they claim 040 at 7 gusting, so the wind is supposedly right down the middle of the runway, so in theory the takeoff should be good with regard to yawing left, not yawing left or right of the center line, because this aircraft does not do well when it comes down to crosswind. It just doesn't function well. There's a lot of other things that the aircraft's missing, and I think I'll be able to point that out. Alright, now let's go into our departure index. And the line select keys, sometimes it simply isn't aligned with something. You kind of have to guess, okay, is it that button or the other button for what you're trying to bring up. We are going to be utilizing 7 right as our arriving runway in Anchorage, so go ahead and put that in. We're going to go via ENA Echo November Alpha here, that is Kenai. So we're going to be flying direct Kenai. Go ahead and execute that. And now we should see a flight plan. After runway 04, then we're going to go to ENA. So we're going to delete. As you can see, I've utilized Collins ProLine 21. I've utilized it a few times. I'm more of a Garmin guy myself. Alright, that's good. Execute that. And now we gotta go into performance. We're gonna go to 15,000 today. So all you have to do is type in 150. And it should translate it as 15,000 feet, which it did. That's good. No passengers today, just me, no cargo. Again, because it's just me. Execute that. Oops. Execute that. VNAV setup. There really isn't much to set up. Target speed of 240. Transition altitude is slightly 180. That is correct. Performance initialization. Back to this. And that's really all for now. We've got ourselves a flight plan plugged in, and we are flying VFR today, so that's on the transponder. It's 1200. And dial it up to 2. It takes a minute to get there. Don't ask me why. It just does. It doesn't immediately go to that number that you need to. Alright, see if we can get. Alright, we'll be setting up AT. So just very quickly, some of the things that do not work. I'm utilizing the words in quotation marks. Prop sync, that does work. Nothing else works on this panel until you get all the way over to emergency frequency, in case you're not, in case you have no primary electrical systems working, and you can push that, and then it gives you 121.5. It gives you your emergency frequency to talk to on the VHF. Again, nothing else works. Air data computer is switching from 1 to 2. That doesn't work. Pilot display, PFD, MFD. TCAS, turning it on to standby. That doesn't work either. The majority of the switches in front of the co-pilot seat, that doesn't work either. The only thing that does work is the cabin temperature knob and the bleed air valves. Go ahead and open those right now because we're going to do engine start. These buttons here on the pedestal, menu does work, but that's just to flip through the various things that you can view up here on the MFD. So anyway, let's go ahead and get engine number 2 up and running. So we're going to go ahead and by the way, prop governor test, which is something you really want to do. Prop governor test, I don't know why those came off. Prop governor test, that is something that you should do. You would want to do it, but yeah, doesn't work. And the standby actuators, they do not work either. Engine anti-ice, that does work. With regard to ice protection, what does work and what doesn't work. Windshield anti-ice does work. Prop anti-ice does work. Fuel vent, those do not work. PO heat, those do. And the surface de-ice, which would be leading edge of the wings and the horizontal stab, those things work. Bus size, those don't work. As I said, auto feather, if I didn't say it, I meant to. The auto feather does work, and of course we will be using that just before takeoff. All right. So let's get the fuel up and going here for the right engine. So we're going to turn on pump to auto, and the boost pump goes on as well. And that also affects the left wing, which I find all of a sudden the left wing has considerable more fuel than the right. Oh, wait a minute. Right. Now the needle's going up to 400, so that took a little while to do. Don't ask me why. I don't know. The airplane has a lot of quirks. The other reason I set up the flight plan the way that I did is because if you tile in the real world flight plan, it takes you out to a fix that is meaning a navigational fix that's over on the mid section of the Kenai Peninsula. If you want to fly direct, you gotta join up with the flight plan, the magenta line that you're looking at right now. So if you're over on the west side of the Kenai Peninsula, you're just a few miles, it's 12 miles from Omer after you get done flying over the Ketchikan Bay. Then you gotta fly all the way back to that magenta line, and then it picks up your flight plan. So it's just it's something that should have been fixed a long time ago. So I don't know if this is a Coronado product or if it's a Coronado in association with Asobo and Microsoft. Either way, it needs to be fixed. The other big item that needs to be fixed is the altimeter setting for the PFD. If I push standard, yeah, I'll get standard, but I cannot, not just me, this is anyone, you cannot move the barometric barometric pressure setting from hectopascals over to inches. So what you have to do, if you want to do it quickly and on the fly, you dial it in on the standby, and what you do is you dial in the current barometric pressure on your standby ADI over here, which in Homer as of right now is 29.61. So here's what I do. I'll dial it down to 2961, and that gives us our field elevation here in Homer, just shy of 60 feet of the sea level, which is right, having been there myself more than once. So what I do is I just really spin this until I see the altimeter. Yeah, I know I can utilize the calculator or AI to quickly give me a conversion. But this is doing, in essence, this is doing the same thing. It's about, does that look about right? And that's the other thing, because they don't really line up perfectly. That's not exactly 60, it's like more like 58 or 59 feet. Therefore, this needs to go down just a smidge. That's the closest it's gonna get. And if you did the long mathematics on it, meaning like longhand, running the formula, you would get 1,003 hectopascals equals 29.61 inches of mercury. Alright, I believe we're good to go. Yeah, the buttons on the right side of the radio, they don't work. Alright, and we'll get into some other things that don't work either. Like I said, this is more of a, it's not just a part 2 of getting to work, it's also a review of the aircraft. Alright. Turn the beacon light on. And I also have tested the battery. I don't think you can wear the battery out, so with regard to realism, it is not realistic as to how long the battery discharges. I don't think it ever would. Because the avionics, they do pull a lot of juice. Let's look up at the meter again. Yeah, that hasn't, the meter, the amount of volts hasn't, yeah, it hasn't changed one bit, so. Turn on our master panel lights. It'll get a little on the dark side, but as we go to Anchorage. Alright, beacon lights on, nav light is on. I'm going to arm the engine, auto ignition generator number 2, turn that on. And hopefully nobody is in our vicinity here. Look around. I don't see anybody out the left. Don't see anybody out the right. Let's go ahead and turn on engine 2. We're going to move the condition lever up to low idle. Make sure that the parking brake is set. Which it is. And now all you have to do, turn on ignition. And now they label this as ignition and engine starts. Okay. So, I mean, that's just funny the way they do it. The way they have it, designed. The wireframing, that is. Alright, there's prop begin spin. I'm actually looking at the MFD here. Making sure we don't have a hot start or a hung start, something at ITT, as well as N1 prop. That'll come up. And that's the other thing. With this aircraft in particular, oops, I forgot to test all of our lights. That's what I get for flying airliners versus various smaller aircraft. the fuel cross speed automatically comes on when you have one engine running instead of the other. Okay, the prop is settling in. ITT is also settling in. That is a good start. Alright. Auto pump and the boost pump, just in case you need it. Everything else is good to go. I guess we could, in theory, somebody could open this up and say, yell out, clear prop, but with the right engine running, nobody would ever hear you. Engine start. Here we go. Let's try and position it so those of you that like to watch the prop begin to spin. We can also see on the right side, I can monitor the engine instruments. Here's ITT, there's the light off. Torque is on its way up. And one. Now the one thing that does, I believe it works, and that is the actual prop sync. But we'll be testing that once we get on our way to Anchorage. Going through a cycle of minimum operations on the prop. Now it's back into the green right about there. Go ahead and set flaps for takeoff. You really can't hear the engines at all. So unfortunately you're gonna be stuck with my voice on this flight. Alright. Alright. ATS, it says it's off. Alright. Radar terrain. Radar standby. Don't need the terrain radar pulled up. Technically you would do it on the PNF side, but they're not independent of each other, which is another issue that they need to deal with. Yeah, see, that just that doesn't work well either. Format, I assume it's going to give us the full compass, then back to the rows. Yeah, okay. Alright, well, according to this, the traffic is on now. Anyway, we're now flying on Vaston, and I have turn on the left generator. And let's double check to see if they even simulate proper generator. That's not good. If you got the DC load, needles are jumping back and forth. That's not great. Alright, anyway, let's test the left gen. We're getting electricity from the generators, but it's sporadic, as you can see. Okay. The zero external power. Technically, well, we won't get into that. Alright, well, so we are supposedly getting power from both generators. And I can bring up I believe there's a diagnostic I can bring up here in a second, but we'll do that once we get underway. Let's just get out of here. Taxi lights up and running. That's that. Elevator. A little bit of trim to get us going. No more than one unit with the way this aircraft has been. The way it's been programmed by, I believe, Coronado, I think. But anyway. Around the pitot heats, and that'll get the warning, take care of the warning light. Caution, I should say. One more time, let's just double check everything. Everybody works. good. Alright. Clear on that side, nobody walking around. Clear on my side, nobody driving or walking around. It'll be a beautiful departure this evening, so fly right out over the base as we get airborne and get ourselves oriented. Let's go through our autopilot setup. We're going to hop up to 15,000. Sounds a little high, but in the real world, a Saab 2000 does this flight two or three times a day, and they fly up to 17,000. So 15,000, I think that's fair. Turn on the flight director. And well, once we line up on the runway, I'll center up the heading bug, and then we'll be rolling. Alright, everybody else is up to going well. Feet on the brake, release the parking brake. And let's roll. And yeah, the airplane, regardless of how much weight, because I tested this once, maxing out the gross weight, even if the engine is idling and you have the condition lever in low idle, the airplane begins to roll. So just keep that in mind. Is that realistic? No. You would need to give it some thrust to get it rolling. But the way they have this airplane programmed, you don't need any thrust. It just continues to accelerate, which is unfortunate. Beautiful mountains there in the distance across Ketchikan Bay here. Alright. Let's turn on our lights. The lights required. Landing lights. And let's turn on recon lights just so people know we're out here. Strobes. Do not need the ice light to look out on the wing. Although we probably, what's the temperature here? 31 degrees Fahrenheit. Which is technically zero Celsius. Technically it'd be a little less than that, but alright, that means that we might encounter icing in those clouds, but I doubt if the aircraft is going to react to any ice buildup. We'll see, and if it does, I know what to turn on. It'll just be turning on the engine into the ice, and then everything else will be fine. Alright, here we go. Homer traffic. King Air 463, Charlie Alpha, departing runway 04, Homer traffic, straight out departure. Now, when the next flight that we do, which will be tomorrow, which is the 777 Anchorage down to Cincinnati, Ohio, we will be on VATH-7. You'll for those of you that are not used to listening to ATC and how things work, then you'll hear it, and you'll see every little procedure followed to the number. All right, let's run up the engines here. Before we do that, let's put our condition levers into high idle. That'll bring the engines up a bit more. And you can see the torque briefly goes up and down. Prop, now that the propellers, they do speed up on RPM. Now they're stabilizing at about 1,070. And the other thing that I do with an aircraft like this that doesn't handle all that realistically is I hold the brakes and then I pull I push the engines up to a preset. In other words, I set the takeoff thrust, and then I release the brakes. Because in this aircraft, it is very easy to create a engine malfunction. Very easy to do that. That should do it. And brakes off. Here we go. So much for the wind being right down the middle of the runway. Not really. Alright, rotate right about there. Alright. Oh, little bit of wind, even though the windsock is dead. Alright. Positive rate. Gear up. Add a little more trim, because as soon as I retract the flaps, the nose is going to drop like an anvil. That's what I thought. I just had a feeling it would do that. Alright. It takes quite a bit of trim to get it, to prevent it from descending. Alright, there it is. Beautiful Ketchikan Bay, snow and the glaciers. Alright. Nice right hand turn, and as soon as we get out over the spit, for those of you that don't know what the spit is, it's that little piece of land you see off of the wingtip there. I'll stay a little low to give you a nice view of the spit. There's a very big harbor for fishing boats down below. I call it the halibut capital of the world. I've done it myself. The amount of boats in the on season is just unbelievable. I mean, the amount of boats is just incredible. Unfortunately, they're not shown here, but they would be located right down there, as well as over. There's another one over here to the right. We'll stay out of traffic pattern until we get above 4,000. And now you can see why why it's not just as easy as selecting on the autopilot. You can give me direct E and A. In this case, you got to intercept that magenta line. Source. We're supposed to be FMS, direct runway 04. Alright. We gotta make an adjustment. And this is another issue that the aircraft has. But look at the view. That is a beautiful view. The other issue it has here is sometimes on the PFD you want to select the nav source as being the FMS, and sometimes it's automatically there, and other times it isn't. You know what? I forgot to turn on the yaw damper. My apologies. Yaw damper engaged. Let's see if it even simulates the yaw dampering. Let's see if I feel it kicking in. really can't. I mean, do a quick maneuver that would really test out the yaw damper. Let's see if I can get it to react. Nope, I cannot get it to react. Alright. Let's see, we've got our heading set up on in the direction we need to be going anyway. Let's go ahead and tell the trim to get us a little bit of a nose up, add a little more of a nose up. Attitude, a little bit of a climb going here. Let's go ahead and turn on the autopilot and see if it picks up the flight plan here. Is it going to? Alright, we're gonna have to set a vertical speed. Let's see if it will do. Oh, it's picking it now. It's picking up the flight plan. All right, let's do 1,000 feet per minute. See what the aircraft does. Boy, the display's going from bright to dim. That is really annoying. Okay, have to take off. Gear up, flaps up. Cabin altitude is climbing. I know, and that's the other thing that's annoying. There isn't any way for you to really see, because when I begin to adjust the power settings, you will not be able to see the actual pressurization. Regardless of what camera angle I choose, you just can't see it unless you look in between the various power lever, prop, and condition levers. Then you can get a glimpse of it. 15,000 feet. I mean, does it have any kind of control? Yeah, but when I go to click on it, as you can see, the only thing it wants to do is select the armrest. So you're kind of just depending on you have to go to the FOC in order to adjust that. Let's increase our rate of climb here just a little bit more. See what we can do. 1,400 feet a minute. Yeah, I think it'll work. Alright. The props are synced up with each other. We'll go ahead and turn on prop sync anyway. Just see what it does. And for the what's the temperature outside now? It's still reading 31 degrees over here. For some reason, why do I pardon me. For some reason, why do I not believe that 31 degrees is the actual temperature? As we're going through 6,400 feet, when you're departing airport, it's almost basically sea level was 31 degrees. Don't think so. Alright, it's climbing pretty good at supposed to be at 1,500 feet a minute, so 1,400. Pretty good. We're not, doesn't look like we're losing any airspeed. It looks like it's able to keep up with that. Let's just look at it. Run through a couple of things here. TSC. Yeah, for some odd reason the transponder over here remains off, and no, I do not know how to get it to say TARA, which is what it should be reading. Although on here it says Set standby. Okay. Well, above below. So it's on at the moment. But like I said, this is another reason I do not fly this aircraft on VATSIM. I'm not going to do it. Many things can happen. The last time I flew it, I believe I tried it out, and the instruments are going on and off as if it has some kind of an electrical problem, and yeah. So the aircraft does have a lot of bugs. Is it on the list for sim update 4? I don't think it is. I don't think it is. Alright, let's push up the climb rate just a couple more 100 feet per minute. Let's make it 1,800 feet per minute. See what it does. There's Mount Ileana and Mount Redoubt over there on the other side of the Cook Inlet. Beautiful view. Above 10,000 feet. Landing lights coming off, as well as recap lights. Okay, everybody was looking good there. And the throttle, where are we at here on the ITT? Once we get up to 15,000, we'll see what we can do with the engine settings. We can push them up a little bit more and get a little bit more speed out of the aircraft. Let's hop outside real quick and see what it looks like. Alright, beautiful view. Here we go, approaching 15,000. Something tells me that we won't need to adjust the power settings of any power setting or the prop. The props, we'll just leave them where they are. I mean, the best case scenario is for the aircraft to settle in somewhere between 230 and 240 knots indicated. That's the best scenario that I could hope for. Let's pull up the weather in Anchorage so we can get the Anchorage altimeter. We already know everything else that we're going to do. Shoot the ILS for runway 07 right. Let's look at Anchorage here. And what I do is I utilize Flight Aware. It's extremely accurate. And altimeter is 2960. So just one little, tiny little adjustment there. 2960. And let me ask the AI bot here to, let me just get the proper. I'm gonna guess it's 1004, but I may be wrong. What is it again? 296. I'm sorry, 1002 maybe. Maybe it'll remain at 1003. I don't know. 29.60. Let's just see what kind of math it gives us here. Alrighty, it's 1002 point. Alright, 0.4, so 1002. Let's see if we can get 1002 in. I wonder if that. Oh dear, my bad. 1002. That was my mistake. There we go. What I wanted to do is I wanted to see if it. I believe it does. Yeah, it automatically changes the setting over to over on the FO side as well. Okay. Now, next thing to do is to look at. That's right. I forgot the cabin temperature dial doesn't work. This works. And so, in theory, if you're concerned about your virtual passengers and or your virtual self, you'd probably want to spin this. Oh wow, that's interesting. It just goes round and around. It doesn't have a minimum or a maximum. Alright. Well, that doesn't work either. Let's go ahead and look at our legs page, flight plan here. Direct DNA, running 04, legs page, and we're gonna have to be. Yeah, the trim wheel, I can tell you right now that is nowhere close to realistic. The trim wheel would not be spinning back and forth, especially on a calm evening like this up at 15,000 feet. It would be making small corrections. It wouldn't be making massive corrections like that back and forth. It just wouldn't do that. Alright, how far are we from E and A? That is annoying the way the displays go. They dim, then they come back. That's flat out annoying. The center of the heading bug again. Alright. Let's look at a couple of things here. Above, below. Yeah, for whatever reason, sometimes the transponder kicks on, sometimes it doesn't. I don't know. I really don't know what to tell you. I really don't. Alright. Looking good here. Alright, let's look at the menu on the MFD up here. We can pull up next rad, which we don't need. Okay. It's supposed to be able to pull up. And it doesn't want to work, does it? No. It just doesn't really want to work. We should be able to bring up a checklist. Push menu again. Let's see here. Lower format. That just gives us our electrical output, battery, oxygen, hydraulic, fuel, pp. Pounds per hour, 350 pounds per side per hour. That seems a little high. I peaking here, wouldn't we bring that quite that? I mean, we are. I realize we're only at 15,000, but I don't know. That just seems a little on the high side. So we can cycle through that info. Upper format. Let's go back to our flight plan. Lower format. Centering it up. That's interesting though. The whole thing goes away. That's not good. Yeah, we'll just leave it like that. And destination elevation 111, so hopefully it doesn't matter that we cannot access the actual setting for the cabin altitude. It looks like the Collins Proline 21 is doing it on its own, which is a good thing. But the cabin altitude though, that's awful high for only being at 15,000 feet. 7,900, that's really, really high for such a low flight level. So I'm going to say that that is not correct. Okay, here comes Kenai. Let's see if we can see the volcano a little better now that we're closer to it. A little bit. And here comes Kenai in 2.2 nautical miles. Let's see how it turns, how stable it is up at altitude. And what's interesting is that we didn't really gain that much airspeed, even though we didn't even go up to like a higher flight level, like let's say 24,000 or 25,000. So that to me is a little interesting. It just doesn't want to stay there. It wants to stay there. It acts like it doesn't. It's not going to go any faster than that. I mean, we're flying slower than the maximum airspeed to select flaps 15, which is takeoff and or approach flap setting, which is interesting. Okay, here comes the turn. There it is. Finally found it. Kenai Airport is, I'm going to go back outside real quick and you can see it. Kenai Airport is just off the tail. So I'm going to go back outside and you can see it from that perspective. Alright, can't see it from that angle either, and it didn't make a turn. We're supposed to be going, that's not good. It did not intercept the next turn. Alright, we need to go to, yeah, there's this aircraft, gives us something new every time. See if it'll go direct to that waypoint. Now the VNAV seems to be working a bit. Let's see if we can increase our range here on the and again, what's frustrating is on the PFD it doesn't give me there. Now it decided to give me the flight plan. But now watch what it'll do. Even though I said go direct to, what did I say, Elias? Well, it's anyway D006 Zulu. I said go direct to that point. It did not go direct. It flies to that predestined line that you set way back at your origin. And once you get to that line, then it turns. So it doesn't execute the direct to function when you hit it. It executes that function when you get to that predetermined line. So again, that's a very, very annoying bug, and I'm really amazed that they didn't decide to fix it, because if I am not mistaken, this is a new aircraft. If you have the premium deluxe edition of Flysoon 2024, so I don't know what to tell you really. It is what it is. 25 miles, we need to be at 2,000 feet, is it? Yeah. Alright. And it is giving us a little bit of a guide as to where to go, what to do. Alright. Up all the way down. It's giving us a roughly 1,900 feet per minute at this speed. Now this is where the hang on a second, we have a caution light. What is this all about? No fuel, right? No fuel transfer. It's been transferring fuel. Why would that be? See that indicate left, no fuel transfer, right, no fuel transfer. Why is it transferring fuel in the first place? And the cross-feed valve is set to auto. Let me set it to open and pump fuel to the left if it can. So we've been drinking off the right tank the whole time. That's not right. It's supposed to be tank to engine configuration. And it doesn't want to give fuel. The cross-feed valve doesn't want to stay. Even if I hold it, it isn't going to do anything. Well, that's a new one. That is a new one, everybody. I have never seen that happen. Alright, let's go and begin our descent. So the MFD never gave me any kind of a warning, caution, I should say. It should have, but it didn't. Why? I have no idea. Alright, let's go ahead and begin our descent down to 2,000 feet. We can bring the throttles way back, so we need to be at 2,100 feet a minute here on that to meet that goal. 2,300, I guess. Alright, so let's pull back the props. Well, let's pull back the engine first. Something tells me it's gonna want to slow down anyway with me barely touching it. Yeah, I've barely touched it. And when I say it, I mean the throttles and it's slowing down, and we're doing 2,000 feet a minute. Okay. Well, if anybody at a solo can explain that, I'd love to hear it. I really would. I'd love to hear how that happens. That's a very, very steep angle of descent, and we're slowing down by bringing the engines. They're not even at 75%. They're at 80%, if I had to guess. I'll show you. And they're way up there, and well, look here. Torque is at 1294, and one's at 90%, and the airplane wants to slow down. So, go figure on that. Go figure. And source, FMS, VOR1. Let's just see if, because something tells me it isn't going to want to automatically switch over to the localizer when we get to that point. I just got a feeling that it won't. Which is fine, I mean, I'll just amplify it, but something tells me that it might not do that. Make sure that's how we do it. Yeah, it's FMS. And bearing source. FMS and FMS. Oh, I see it. But it doesn't happen on the PFD. It's happening over on the MFD. Yeah, that's just not. Yeah, I don't get it. So, let's see, you're turning now toward. Is it going to where we need to go? To WeWo. Alright, and they run away. And all of that should be right in front of us, and it isn't. Surround landing lights. Recog lights as well. One display shows more than 12 miles, another one shows something different. And there's no way we're going to be able to make that altitude safely. So the VNAV does not calculate your descent rate accurately. It's not even close. Let's slow it way down. Way, way down. A little more. I guess it's trying to trim it out so that it gets us, pardon me, it's trying to slow us all the way down to the point at which it gives us, alright, 6 degrees of, the trim should be down trim. It's doing 6 degrees of up trim, no, it's up trim. Yeah, that's another massive mistake. It's acting like it's going to give us local electric light slope. Interesting. Let's turn on the approach. See if it intercepts the glide as well. It will, okay. Alright. It doesn't like it that I don't have landing gear down with the power setting it being so low. leave that to its devices, as they say. We'll level it off. 157 knots. And we can fly a little more, a little faster than that. Although it doesn't really want to accelerate. I mean, we did not fly through any icing conditions. I mean, the leading edge is clean. The spinner is clean. I mean, we don't have any ice. De-ice real quick. Get the boots to kick off any ice. And there isn't any, so I don't know why it's wanting to fly slow. It's just it's a bug, if I had to guess. All right, here comes the glide slope. So let's bring that power setting back. And the Boeing driver in me wants to begin to set flaps, but this aircraft is so small. If we slow down now, I mean, we would just be coming in just unbelievably slow. And if we were on ATC, they would be asking us to step it up on the speed. 161. I mean, we don't need flaps at the moment. I mean, it would just be, it would be counter to what we want. So, yeah, this aircraft needs a lot of help, to say the least. Set our go-around altitude to 3,300, right? 3,000, okay. Go-around altitude is 3,000 feet, and we're going to center it up. Heading back, center it up. Okay, flaps, approach flaps, and landing gear down, please. Where the parking brake came on. Oh yeah. Okay, gear down. Good. Flaps 35, please. Thank you. So much looks like right there. Right where somebody yacht. Someone tells me nobody has a yacht like that in Anchorage. Alright. And my controls.
300.
My controls here. Let's slow down a bit.
200.
The FBO is on the opposite end of the runway, so
100.
we're not gonna make this. We'll land it around the touchdown zone, but no need to slow it down immediately. Here we go. And we'll just let it slow down on its own. All the way down. All the way down. In reality, I could at least put the props into beta, which means reverse the pitch, to give us a little bit of reverse. But like I said, I can try it right now. A little bit. Let's see what it does to the airspeed. Yeah, I mean, that helps us a little bit, you know, but bring it out of beta range here. Taxi off the runway. Flaps up. And there we go. Welcome to Anchorage. where the local time is 6:53 p.m. local. Make sure no one's coming in on 7 left. Oh, that's right, no traffic. Alright. Here we are. Well, this is where, I believe the name of the airline is PENN, P-E-N-N, PENN Air. They fly soft 2000s and Dash 8s. Let's see, an Embraer 170. What else isn't there that shouldn't be there? An old Beech 18. I don't think you're going to see aircraft like that at the gate. Don't think you're going to see it. A couple of Piper Chieftains. Alright. PA41 says I'm not. I think I'm right. So anyway, let's go over to the FBO and then just shut down the aircraft. Yeah, without a built-in checklist, there should be one every in the real world. Every column Proline 21 has a built-in checklist. They just do, and then you can simply run through it real quick. But this aircraft is simple enough. Not as simple as make sure mags fuel off. But it's pretty close to that. And bring our condition lever in a low idle. So bring those props back a little bit. Prop sync off and low idle on the condition lever. And this thing wants to taxi like a Indy 500 race car. So you're constantly having to tap on the brakes. Look at that mountain range though. Beautiful view. Look at that. Absolutely beautiful. Let's see, landing lights. Leave that on. Strobes off. Let's see what the view looks like from out here. So the next time you see me will be on the other end of the airport, on the north side of the airport. If you look at your if you want, you can pull up the airport diagram and you'll see how it's basically cargo city up there. That's where Cathay Pacific comes in from Hong Kong. ANA comes in from Tokyo or Narita or Osaka. UPS, FedEx, Kalita Air, Atlas. That's where all the big boys park. You're probably going to see more 747s in Anchorage than any other airport in the world at one time. But we drive the 777 for Atlas, and we will be on that soon. We'll do a live flight. Okay, let's set the parking brake, and we'll go through the shutdown checklist here. Alright. Flight director no longer needs to be on. Let's go through things here. Ignition. Something tells me that if I turn these switches off, the engines are gonna... No, they're gonna remain on. Auto feather. I would have turned it on, but to be honest, it says that it works. But I've never seen it actually function like the prop sync. The light comes on, however, Does the sync come up if they're out of sync? No. Why? Because they're always in sync. So it's just why turn the system on if it doesn't do it? That's my philosophy. But anyway, all right. Then turn on generators. 1, 2 here. And very simply pull the condition levers to idle. Saying that the ignitions are on. Okay. I don't see that. Let's ignition is on. No, it's in the starter on position. Alright. Well, has a lot of things that need to be fixed, but if you want to fly around in an aircraft that isn't study level and or, as they say, high fidelity, then this is a good aircraft for you to work on when you're beginning to learn how to fly a twin engine turboprop. And let's see here, turn off the backup battery. Fuel pumps. Why the fuel was running off of the right tank instead of both, I do not know. It didn't give me a warning until late in the game, which is not good. So fuel pumps are off. Anything else need to come off? Nah, that'll be the last thing we do. Battery, avionics are on. Engine off. Good. Yeah, the prop governor test is very important if it would work. See, fuel fan, pitot heats come off. I don't think anything else is on. Nothing else works. Okay. Turning off our master panel lights, although I think it should read master lights. Okay, master panel lights all off. Okay, avionics off. External power. That's interesting. I never requested external power, but it was taking it anyway. Huh. Okay. Everybody off. Double check this over here. Don't worry, the aircraft that will be flying on the next flight is programmed by PMDG. In my opinion, ultra high fidelity aircraft doesn't get any more realistic than a PMDG aircraft. And you have to know what you're doing. So I'm just looking to make sure everything is off. Turn off the nav lights. And now the master. You can also see this gang bar. It shuts off battery, Gen 1 and Gen 2 if you want. And there you have it. Welcome to Anchorage. Let's go out the fun way. Alright. Well, there you have it. As I said before, welcome to Anchorage, where the weather is nippy, but that is what it is. Hope you enjoy the flight. Sorry so many things on the aircraft don't work. Hopefully they come out with some major fixes and updates to it in the next update. But that is all for now. Now we're going to hop over and tomorrow and go to work. And you'll see that. And it'll be Anchorage on down to Cincinnati, Ohio. Kilo Charlie Victor Golf. And it's about a 6-hour flight, but we'll trim it up in the editing process so you don't have to look at a screen for that long. Unless we decide to do it live, which we might. So anyway, thank you for flying along. And hopefully you got something out of it. I know there's not a lot of videos out there about this aircraft. I looked at the analytics. The last time someone did a video on this airplane was back in April, according to AI. So probably because of the amount of things that are wrong with it. So you got my take on it. The landing was very easy, even though we have crosswind. It didn't act like it for some odd reason. So, yeah, there's the aircraft, but more importantly, there's the view. Pretty nice, if you ask me. Alright, everybody, hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you again very soon. And until then, take care. Fly safe, frequency change approved.